remember the way we used to move, dance all night like young lovers do. Your heart is changing. Now we don't dance like we used to. Silent disco on the floor, baby. Mr. DJ, he'll get me through. When the beat's gone, you can't save me, baby.
This is Broad Radio. For you, by you. Broad Radio. Here for more.
Hello and welcome to Broad Radio on this last show of the year. I'm so excited because I have not one but two co-hosts today. It is the lovely Angela Pippos and Nelly Thomas in the same room.
Yay for us.
Oh my gosh, I have to apologise. I'm a little dusty this morning because my daughter had graduation last night from year 6. And
Congrats.
I know, yeah, they have to have a big event, of
Yeah,
course,
yeah,
because you don't just finish year 6 and go to year 7 anymore.
My son was going from grade 2 to grade 3 and he didn't get to do a big graduation.
Yeah, grade 2 to 3 is
because-
nothing.
Well, it is something for him.
I know.
And because of the times that we're living in, missed out on that. But
Well, we had a disco, we had the liturgy, she's at a Catholic school, we did all that, and then the DJ insisted that the parents go and dance with the kids, and so at one point there was 7 middle-aged women all hoping their pelvic floors will hold out.
Yeah.
Basically. Because I got a feeling, I mean, there's too
Yeah.
much jumping in that.
Yeah, that's like a trampoline nightmare waiting to happen.
Anyway, good times, and I hope I make it through today. We have an amazing show for you. One of Australia's favourite comedians, Felicity Ward, joins us all the way from the UK. We're going to learn how we can support single parents, carers and their children with founder of National Homeless Collective, Donna Stolzenberg. And we're going to look at what the year was with the two of these beautiful women. And of course, Shelley Ware is joining us as well. We're going to be talking about the things that we loved and hated and all of everything of 2021. And I think you said kicking 2021 to the curb. Or
It's gone. I know. I've been done with 2021 for months.
same.
Yeah. Sometimes denial works.
It does.
You know?
It's all coming up after this. Broad Radio is proudly supported by Chemist Warehouse. Chemist Warehouse, great savings every day. If you are watching live, it would be great if you joined us with your comments and questions and just, joined in the conversation. It's always a great joy when that happens. If you're going to catch up at any time on any of our episodes, you can do that wherever you get your podcasts. Broad Radio on the go. A bit to discuss today. I'm so excited to have the three, like a proper conversation like this. None of this remote business.
This could go for days.
I know. Settle in.
Grab yourself a coffee.
I've got one over there, just out of reach. Sex and the City
Yes.
has launched its 10-part reboot.
Yeah.
I know you are you're my go-to on
Shit
television.
TV. Yeah. She was being polite. Yes, I will watch anything. So this is highbrow for me, to be perfectly honest. Like, this is above, I don't know, wife swap.
I didn't know you had that way about you.
I'm a woman of many, many shades and
shames.
and shames, absolutely. You know what? I won't take on that shame. I won't take it. My brain works very fast and it gets very tired, and sometimes I just need to watch shit.
Yeah, I support
I'm owning
that.
it. I'm owning it. Sex and the City reboot, interesting. I've got mixed feelings. I will absolutely watch it. Like, there's no question that I will watch it, and I absolutely enjoyed parts of it. But I found some of it just so cringeworthy. And so particularly, I think the main thing for me was the shoehorning in of kind of the modernisation. So clearly the first Sex and the City, how many, 7 series or whatever they were, very white, very straight, very all the things. And it's like in the first episode they went, can we find like Minority Row and just pick everyone and just like shove them in as though they'd never existed before? you know, so they just sort of like popped up in New York, and that was very clunky. But then on the other hand, I think, well, at least they've acknowledged the error of their ways and they're trying to rectify.
Yeah.
You know, so, okay.
Yeah. For me, I will always keep watching this because these women, 4 down to 3, were such an important part of my life, you know, and I don't, you know, they're going to stay with me. I like them, and I like the fact that it's about women and friendship and, you know, and all that stuff is good. A couple of things. Clunky, yes. Some of the dialogue was so clunky, especially around sexuality and race and
so
those
much
kinds
so.
of things. It really felt like it was sexuality 101 and race 101 rather than there was no nuance about that kind of thing.
And not believable, Ange. You know, to have a sex columnist, aka Carrie, unwilling to talk about masturbation, for example. You're like, this doesn't ring true.
No. Yeah, but they did make that point. Like one of the characters did
One of the
say,
characters
this should
did.
be your thing. And
It
she was like,
should.
oh, but it's not me. I've always kind of alluded to things. And, you know, when you look back at, that was one of the differentiators. Oh, my gosh, I can't speak.
Differentiators.
The
Got ya.
graduation
I've got ya.
ceremony.
Yeah.
It was one of the things that separated her from Samantha back in the day, that she didn't even see her boob. She had sex with her bra on back then, right? So I guess... To me, that worked. But yes, the clunkiness of Miranda, not having ever watched a podcast or listened to a podcast, or not understanding Black Lives Matter and all that.
Yeah.
She was the smart one of the group.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
The other thing that didn't ring true was the 3 of them were still with the same men.
Yes.
Now that's not real life.
Bullshit.
Yes.
You know, surely there's been a separation or a divorce.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think they're just assuming that would have been Samantha.
Yeah.
But I think the other overarching thing for me, but this is a critique of Sex and the City in general, is that I did respectful relationship shows for over a decade, so this is my wheelhouse, and this is how I watch stuff. But the relationship between Big and Carrie is not a healthy relationship. So to sort of come back to this Sex and the City reboot and not acknowledge that, I think there was one acknowledgement, I don't want to do a spoiler, but there's one acknowledgement where one character says... am I the only one who remembers that he treated her like shit? And I thought, they better get into this in this series because we know too much now to sort of look back at that relationship as though it was healthy.
I would agree with that, but I also have
But
to
you love
acknowledge
Mr. Big,
well,
don't
well,
you?
the thing, I think I can't separate it from the nostalgia of how much it meant to me, and all of those, every episode, tuning in week after week and bawling my eyes out in the last episode. And I have to say, I loved the movies because of the fashion and the locations, and people were so critical of it. And I always say, I go back to it, why can't women's film and TV be shit? Why can't it just be fantasy?
Yeah.
Like no one goes Fast and the Furious. I can't believe how shit that is, right?
Well, we do. We do. It's just that most TV critics are men. You know, it's like the critique of pop music or of your Kylie Minogue or whoever. It's like they're coming from, isn't Nick Cave amazing? Well, he did a duet with Kylie, so shut the fuck up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, but I also think we can critique it.
We can. I just feel like, sometimes it's held to a higher regard, which women's content often is.
Your high standard. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
It's true.
Double standards.
Yes.
New York is a character as well in this. That's the other thing that I'm drawn
Amazing.
to. I just can't get enough of the streetscape, the cafes,
And the fashion, oh my
And,
God.
yeah.
They look amazing too.
Wouldn't it be nice if Aiden came back?
Oh, you are so funny. Aiden's not coming back. Or maybe he will.
Oh, well.
Wouldn't it be nice if people, this is the other thing about women being held to a higher standard. What's the commentary been about? Charlotte's had too much surgery.
Yes.
Yeah.
Carrie hasn't had enough. It's like you can't win.
No.
They had to address the grey hair in the first episode. I'm like, I didn't even notice her hair was grey.
No.
It's just absurd.
Oh, yeah. It's all of that, but we will be watching.
Oh, I'll watch all of it, no doubt.
Another thing we'll be watching, moving right along, is watching with great interest the amazing Zoe Daniel, who's running as independent candidate in the in Goldstein. Oh my God, what's happened to me?
You've been doing the Macarena till 11 o'clock at night, right? Nana needs a nap.
I do. So Zoe Daniel is a part of this incredible independence movement, and Angela Pippos, you are working with her on this campaign.
I am. I'm Zoe's media advisor, and this is what happens when you have a
Amazing.
30-year friendship. She
Yeah.
said, I need you on my team, and you can't say no. And of course I'm doing it because I believe in Zoe. I believe in the independents who are stepping forward. These are women who have just had enough.
Had enough.
Right?
That is the vibe.
They've just had enough. It's the mad as hell moment in Australian politics. And I tell you what, it's laughable that Liberal MPs are lining up to say that the independents are puppets and they are just Labor and Greens in disguise. I mean, they're trotting out the same line. Who's the puppet?
Yeah,
They are
that's
saying
right.
the same
That's
thing,
right. That's
you know,
right.
with different voices, but they're saying the same thing. These women are not puppets. These women are strong and compassionate and courageous, and they've been looking at the political landscape and they just can't handle it anymore.
Yeah.
They want to get in there and they want to talk about real climate action. They want to talk about integrity. They want to talk about gender equality. They want to talk about refugee policy. They want to talk about, you know, affordable housing and do it properly, like have proper debate in Parliament
And they
rather
don't-
than this two-party system that really is shameful. The level of debate we have in this country is dreadful.
Isn't it interesting, the puppet thing? Because they literally don't want to be told by the higher-ups what to say and think. I mean, if you think the two most well-known female independents, I think, at the moment would be Jackie Lambie and Fiona Patten, and you couldn't accuse either of them of being a puppet to anybody.
Oh my gosh.
And they have changed the political landscape.
Yeah. But that's the other thing that I find kind of laughable every time someone criticises the notion of an independent as, well, they're just going to hold Parliament to ransom and are going to make it, you know, there's going to be so much debate in Parliament. Yeah. That's the point.
Yeah.
And Zali Steggall introduced her climate bill and Helen Haynes introduced her integrity bill. So they introduce bills, they have proper debate, which is what it's supposed to be like, and they also break down having women masculine norms that make the place so toxic. So there
And
is
Zoe
no
Daniel's
downside.
seen some stuff. I mean, this is the other thing. If you look at her experience in world affairs and international relations and so on, just by nature of her career, would she identify herself as a centrist?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
she's deliberately, consciously neither left nor right.
That's right. She declares herself up front as a swinging voter. She's the sort of person who goes to the voting booth and doesn't know who to vote for, right? You know, some people are wired differently. Zoe is a true centrist. And, you know, I'm just so proud of her for taking this giant leap.
Oh, it's
Like,
massive.
it's a massive leap. Already, you know, you can sense that there's going to be a bit of argy-bargy in Goldstein. And, you know, you need courage to do this.
Geez, you do.
You really do.
Yeah.
And she's got it.
She's
going to
do well.
But
I
the other
really
thing,
think she's
she
going
is
to do well.
sacrificing a lot. She's
Yeah.
got an enormously successful career in the media, and she's got her own consultancy that was really starting to take, you know, some great momentum. She's sacrificing a lot to do this because she realises it's time, there was change, and she sees a vision for Australia that all of us want.
Yeah.
You know, it's very exciting, and as are all of the independents, very exciting.
And not
to
being a
see.
career politician, I think, is a really interesting thing that we need to see more of as well. Like, she comes to the role with a really different life experience, but also different motivation. Like, you want someone to come into politics who comes in because they see things they don't like and want to change, and not just because they want power.
And it's the same with Allegra Spender. It's the same with Monique Ryan. These are women who have been successful in their own right, and they've had so much life experience, and they are bringing that with them. And I just look, I can't wait to see these women sitting on the
Watch this
crossbench.
space.
I really can't. It's going to make Australian society better as well as Parliament.
big couple of months for you though, and Zoe.
Yes, yes, we're going to be busy, but I couldn't be working with a better woman, so
Yes.
I'm happy.
It's true. Now, we do have to get to our first guest, but I wanted first to play a video that I have played over and over and over this week, and it's the amazing Sam Kerr. I'm sure that you've dived into it. She was playing for Chelsea.
Pun intended.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I should leave this up to you, Ange, to talk to the video because I'm not the sports expert. but-
Please
yeah.
play it again. This will be like the 100th time I've seen it, I think. Okay, so there is...
Dude wants a selfie.
Yeah, bloke comes onto the ground, interrupts play, thinks he's important, bang, and there goes Sam Kerr with the most perfectly executed hip and shoulder I've ever seen.
Thinks he's important. I love it. Can we play it again, Ro? Because my favourite part in watching this is that you can see her sizing him up. So she's walking next to him, sizing him up, and then she does the perfect run up to give him that beautiful Aussie rules bump. Like, she's number 20 here. Look at her. She's going, oh, yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, here we go. Watch out, mate. I love it. Oh, she's the best.
And you know what? She was so many of us, because who hasn't wanted to do that, you know, in life, especially over the past couple of years watching federal parliament.
Yeah.
I mean, that's in my head all the time. I don't know how to execute a hip and shoulder like that, a bump like that. But wow, it was her taking on the patriarchy and you know, masculine
you're in my
privilege.
workplace, mate. You've walked onto my... You're on my stage.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
Can I just say before, because I've seen a bit of commentary, which always happens when this stuff happens, of like, well, imagine if the gender roles were reversed and a man hip and shouldered a woman. Look at the size of her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look at the size of him. It is not the same debate. I'm sorry. It is simply not the same debate.
And look at the context around the way women have been treated throughout history and the subordination.
the entitlement of this dude.
Yeah.
To walk onto professional. Imagine if you did that at the Australian Open,
Yeah.
you know, or a men's AFL match,
no.
or, you know, come on.
Yeah. Oh, God, ladies, it's so nice to have you in the room. We're going to play some of our favourite bits of the show throughout the year in a little later on, because we do have to get to our first interview. And actually, for that, I'm going to vacate the premises. I'm going to leave it up to you two, beautiful Nelly and Ange.
Go
in
chill,
just a moment.
Well, guess who we're chatting to now?
Tell me. I think I've
think you
spoken to
know.
her before, and she's fabulous.
She's absolutely fabulous. It is Donna Stolzenberg, who is the CEO of the National Homelessness Collective. But I always like to introduce her by saying that she was Victorian of the Year, because it makes me feel very important that I know the Victorian of the Year. Hey, Donna, how are you?
I'm doing really well, Nelly. How are you both?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah,
we're good.
Really good. Motivated, energised.
Yeah,
feeling
well,
good.
I'm not energised or motivated, but I'm here. Donna, I'm here.
I'm loving the Christmas colours. I'm
Hey?
rocking the Christmas colours, both of you. Like,
We
I
didn't even try.
I'm kind of a little bit Christmassy. I've got my red earrings in, so
I'm going to say one thing about this top. I wore it to the 2017 AFL Grand Final when Richmond defeated the Crows. I couldn't wear this for about 2 years after that because it's associated with losing a grand final. So it's back out now because it is the Christmas
Yeah,
colours.
it's very festive.
that's gorgeous.
And so, Donna, you've got some important messages you want to share with us at Christmas time or this time. I mean, but there's people who don't celebrate Christmas. End of the year, Happy New Year, whatever markers we want to use. What did you want to share with all the listeners?
Well, look, it's been such a tough year for everybody in this country with COVID and lockdowns. And really, it's been 2 years of it. And many states, all states have suffered in some way because we all haven't been able to visit each other. We haven't been able to be there to care for each other and lend a hand. You know, communication is such a huge part of our being, and that's been thwarted so much with all the lockdowns and that we've had. So, and especially Victoria, we've had 2 years of this now where we've seen lockdown after lockdown. And what that's actually done, the National Homeless Collective supports all people experiencing homelessness and disadvantage. So not necessarily those who are living on the streets. We support those people as well as many other people. But what we've seen with this continued lockdown, the pandemic and everything changing, is that so many more people have become very isolated. They've lost their support networks. They've lost their jobs. We've seen a huge increase in people who are needing our support, not just with homelessness, but with basic items like food, sanitary items, personal care items, things for kids for school. And it's the end of the year now, and I know that everybody is absolutely exhausted, especially those, and myself included, who are caring for people who have extra needs and extra responsibilities. There's something over 800, nearly 900,000 carers in this country who have primary care of another person, and they give anywhere from 20 to 60 hours per week unpaid care. And at the end of the year, I know everyone's exhausted, but we're still here. The National Homeless Collective is still here supporting those people. We're still here helping anyone who needs us. But the huge message that we have is that we can't do that alone. We're a non-funded organisation. We're looking out for everybody, but we need people to look out for us as well and help us to continue to provide the support that we offer to those people in need.
And Donna, for those people who have a few spare pennies, you've got your Christmas raffle on. Explain, because you've told me this before, you can get your support to those who need it really quickly, can't you? You're one of those organisations that doesn't have red tape and all those sort of hoops to jump through. Tell us about that, how quickly you can respond to people in need.
Well, that is one of the things that sets us apart, the main thing that sets us apart from a lot of organisations. And indeed, the larger organisations do come to us and ask us for support because we can get tangible goods and get items to people much faster than they often can because of all the red tape. We basically have none. We've got a wonderful relationship with Star Trek Australia, who will send anything for us anywhere for free. So if we've got a client in South Australia or in Far North Queensland or Northern Territory, whatever it is they need, we can get it that day, get it into Star Trek and get it off to them straight away. Not just the individual person, but also we support other organisations to support their individual clients. So if an organisation perhaps is running out of, even this week we have an organisation, a wonderful Christmas on the Streets group here in Melbourne and also in Sydney. They needed 70 sleeping bags, and I got a message from Rose and she said, do you have any? We're like, 70 sleeping bags on the way to you straight away. So people can stay warm and covered. Yeah.
You know, I think one of the great things as well, and you and I have talked about this before, is that with a raffle, like there'll be heaps of people right now, what is it, the 14th of December, something like that, who are going, oh shit, I haven't done my Christmas presents. Are they going to get delivered in time? All that sort of, with the raffle, and I did this myself the other day, if you've got relatives interstate or you've got people you don't know who to buy, what to buy for, like we've all got people that are difficult to buy for, then you can just jump on and buy them raffle tickets. And they could end up winning a beautiful prize, but either way, they're going to be supporting you.
Absolutely. And there are 4 major holidays to be won in this raffle. So we've got one incredible fishing trip for a week. Check out the details on it. It includes everything. It's absolutely incredible. But we've got 3 holidays to the Whitsundays, and they're not just basic holidays. These are like full
they're full glam. Yeah, full luxury. Yeah.
And Queensland's open now.
Yeah.
So we can go there. And if you do find that we do have another lockdown or you can't go, you can reschedule it for up to a year, and we can negotiate that after as well. The tickets are $25, but what they pay for is for a child to attend our Christmas party this year. Also, it pays for school bags and school equipment for children coming into the new year. So many families just cannot afford the basics for their kids for school now. We also provide camp packs and swimming packs for kids. So $25, a present for someone, if you've got someone who you cannot think of what to buy for, means a child can get to go to the party with their parent and you're still supporting us for
even better, Donna, if you've got like, you know, your redneck uncle that you don't like and who wouldn't support homelessness normally, you go, here's your present, Uncle Barry. Enjoy.
You could see them, honestly. I was listening to your conversation before about politics and And I really wanted to jump in because really it's, this country's been run by the pale, stale, old, middle-aged male forever. And, buy them men tickets. Get them tickets
Absolutely. And if they end up in the Whitsundays, fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Donna, you're the best. Chuck out the rest. We have to wrap it up, but Merry
Thank
Christmas.
Yep.
Merry Christmas, and we must catch up very soon.
We must. And thank you for all the amazing work you do. Unlike most CEOs, you're actually on the street with the people you're helping, and bless you.
Thank you for having me, and congratulations on a fantastic year for Broad.
Thanks, Donna. Awesome. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
Well, ladies, it's time to cross to one of our other amazing co-hosts. I'm hoping she's there. Is this Shelley Ware?
How are you, beauty?
There she is.
Hi, Shell.
Hello, Shelley.
How are you?
Darling, have you got news? Are you moving?
Well, we're certainly thinking about it. We're heading to the Gold Coast to see if we would like to live there or if weve romanticised it during lockdown.
I feel like this is like so many
thing.
people in
It's a thing.
Melbourne have thought about, is grass actually greener somewhere else?
Yes. The Goldie.
Yeah, well, my husband's wanted to live there for about 20 years and he's asked and asked and asked. And with my work with the AFL, I've sort of put it off. And then I thought, you know what, I've been holding this guy up for 20 years now and I don't work on television anymore. So maybe this is the perfect time. So we'll see. We're going up on Friday. We're going to check it all out and see what the world brings us.
And Shelley, they play Australian football in Queensland, so there'll be plenty of work for you there as well.
Yeah, there is plenty of work in the AFL. It's, life goes in cycles and this is a cycle that's ended on television and, now it's time for different things to happen in life and I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, Shell, I've got a question for you, which I'm asking all of us today. What would you do next year if you do move, or if you don't, if you had an extra 1,000 hours in your year? Because Nelly Thomas has introduced us to the Hilda report today. First, before I get your answer about what you would do with an extra 1,000 hours a year, let's hear from you about
Hilda. So
yes.
the Hilda report, it stands for the Household Income and Labour Dynamics in Australia survey, which is a very respected and large survey. Like, we haven't just called 100 people. They've called, thousands and
We haven't just called Hilda.
Yeah, that's right.
Or women called Hilda.
Or women called Hilda. Yeah. 17,500 people in 9,500 households. I don't think it'll come as a surprise to any of us that Australian women do more unpaid work than Australian men. But even I, as a long-standing feminista communista, was shocked at how much it was. 21 unpaid extra hours a week. So this is assuming we both work full-time or we both work the same amount of paid work. Women doing an extra 21 hours a week of unpaid work, which equates to 1,000 hours a year. So imagine what you would do with your health, your well-being, your career if you had 1,000 extra hours a year.
Shelley, what would you do with 1,000 extra hours?
I do feel like Hilda called me, which is unfortunate. I definitely am one of those people that have fallen into that trap. But I would say that I would probably spend more time on my own well-being for sure, and catching up with friends, which I just don't do enough of.
It's so true. That is one of the things that goes,
100%.
doesn't it?
And even if you're in a relationship that you think is pretty fair and pretty even, like mine, I'd say is pretty good on that front. I do most of the unpaid hours.
Yeah.
And it's a bit to do with society sort of pushing the message that, a woman is better at doing that sort of stuff.
Well, how many ads do we still see? And people say this as though it's sexist toward men when in fact what it's doing is screwing us over. Where, you see the man who can't do the washing and he's like, we shouldn't say men are stupid. No, the ad's not targeted at men. It's targeted at women to say he won't do the washing properly.
Yep.
You need to do it. It's just this ongoing thing. But you'd think in the 21st century that the gap wouldn't be that big.
Also, I think too, what happens is that we are told that we won't relinquish the power, that we're control freaks.
Oh, yeah, it's our fault.
And I love
Yeah.
that as a narrative too, because
Yeah.
I'm like, I have, as an experiment,
Yeah.
left a thing on the floor
Yeah,
to
same.
see how long it takes
Yeah.
for my husband to pick that up, or my child. And it could still be there 3 years later. So it's not like I'm not relinquishing power.
Absolutely.
Like-
Absolutely. I totally agree.
So
And they,
true.
especially to carers, we get told, because I've got a child with disability, we get told constantly, oh, you know, just do more self-care. And to your point, Shelley, I'm like, when? Like, when would I actually have this bubble bath that you keep talking about? As though that would magically change my life anyway.
Yeah.
But there's it's always put back on women
Yeah.
to find the solutions. And quite frankly, dudes, step the fuck up.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I always get told you haven't trained your husband enough.
Oh, my God.
that's
What is he, a
that's
golden
all.
retriever? Does he not know how to shake? Oh,
Look,
Shelley.
it's so true. It's about conversations about equality, sexism, abuse. Women have shouldered all these conversations forever. It
Yeah.
is time for men to show some responsibility here and have
Yeah.
these conversations with their male friends as well.
Yes, and Cheryl, because you come from an educator background as well, you've just said goodbye to the school you've worked in for a very long time, and so you see parents and families, right? And I have just come from my daughter's graduation last night, which is why I can't say words anymore. And we exchanged letters. She wrote a letter for her parents, and we were to write a letter for our child. Right? I know.
That's sweet.
But how many do you think in that room? How many letters were written by the dads? Almost none of them.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is something that is always given to the women to do. Yeah, 9 times out of 10, I would say that a woman has written that letter.
It's like, it's just, and you know, my husband, he's an amazing dad. I'm like, but babe, you've written one paragraph in this. Why did it fall to me?
I wish I knew the answer.
Shelley, the classic as well,
I
again,
do.
coming from education system. I mean, I've tried this as an experiment as well of putting my kid's dad down as the contact at school.
Oh, yes.
But who gets called if someone needs to be picked up from school? They still 100% of the time call me. 100% of the time.
And school admin is quite a thing. This is
Oh,
what
it
I've
is quite a thing.
discovered.
Yeah.
And because Simon says, oh, it's not that hard. Well, he hasn't been doing it.
No.
And there's a lot of this, the apps and emails and contributing to Christmas presents for teachers, all that
Compass
stuff.
notifications are the bane of my
Oh,
existence.
it all comes to me.
Yeah, absolutely. The
I'm
amount
a
of
bit busy
admin.
trying to get a woman elected to Parliament. I've got other shit to do.
That's right. I don't care about the school lunch thing.
No.
Yeah.
It's got a lot to do with the unconscious bias that we have in our
Yes.
heads as educators and in admin about the mother being the carer and being the person that is going to nurture the child, when in fact my husband is a brilliant nurturer and carer for my son and would rush to him at any given moment if he got the phone call and drop whatever he could. So you know, that's just the unconscious bias of the stereotypes that have been pumped into our heads over years and years that we've got to shake.
But Shell, don't you think we're at the point now, and I think that's what is borne out by this Hilda survey in 2021, we're at the point now where we have to stop telling women to change that because we're conscious of it. We are fully aware of the mental load that parenting involves and caring involves. I really think the conversation needs to shift to more men need to leave work on time. They need to invest more in their families. We need to acknowledge that work is easier than caring for children. It is absolutely like a holiday for me. I don't know about you guys, but it is easier. So men need to step up and not step over the towel on the floor.
I think we're seeing more men doing that.
Yeah.
I just think there are a lot of men that are just getting home, sitting on that couch and not doing the right thing by their family and considering and thinking that home is a place of rest, where they go to rest. And in actual fact, home is where the work starts. You know, where you've got to put hours
Nailed it. Nailed it.
good humans. Yeah, we're trying to make good humans that are going to be productive and caring and have empathy and help their wives and their husbands or, you know, their lovers when they grow up. You know, that's what we're wanting, and that starts when you walk through that front door.
Do you know one of my favourite things is that how many guys will go, oh, I don't mind if it's a bit messier. I'm like, how would you know? Like, you live in a shithole for a couple of months and get back to me.
Yeah, that's right.
But I'm optimistic though. We've had a new way of operating during the pandemic. We've had more flexible work arrangements and working from home. Really hoping that leads to, I don't know, some better decisions about work-life balance with working from home.
Also, more and more we understand that men need to have carers leave when children are born.
Absolutely.
In the corporate world, they're understanding that, and maybe that's going to shift things a little as well. I mean, we have to be optimistic, don't we? Hey, Shell, I would love to hear from you. We're going to just a little bit of a reminisce of our favourite moments of Broad Radio this year, and so I wanted to start with you. What's been one of your favourite interviews that you and I might have shared?
I really loved when we talked to Rosie Worsley. I loved that we talked about menopause so openly. And I think I'm getting to the age, like I'm 50 in a couple of months. So it was like, okay, this is probably the first conversation I've had about menopause. And I didn't even actually realise what was happening to my own body. And so to talk about it and hear that, I've started to pay more attention to what's actually happening to my body. I've got a touch of the moods, which I've actually never had before. I've pretty much just been even killed my whole life. So I didn't quite know where that was coming from. And, a few other things that have been happening with my body that I'm now paying attention to. So I can only imagine, Jo, that that's made an impact in other people's lives as well. That for the men as well who are listening to this show and trying to understand what is happening to their families or to their partners or, what is going on in this house. So, to understand has been pretty good on my behalf.
I love I've got a touch of the moods.
Pick up the towel. Pick it up.
You're absolutely right. Dr. Rosie Worsley was extraordinary. She actually, I think, was our most, we got the highest response of any interview that we did this year to hers. And so let's play a tiny little clip because I loved her speaking about the stigma of menopause here.
I've had people that don't even want to tell their own family that they're having menopause. But really, 10% of women go through menopause before 45, 1% of women before age 40. And when I was going through medical school, we were told, early menopause before 40 is really rare. It's 1%. But when you think about it, 1 in 100 women, that's actually very common. That's a lot of women, so there's a lot of women who are having this experience. And I think, we do need to kind of change the way we think about it, in that it's often tied with, either womanliness or sexuality or being able to reproduce. And I think because we've still got that sort of cultural hangover of, the main use of a woman is to have babies, she's a walking uterus or something rather than a person with a uterus. So, I think if we can reframe that and it's just part of female existence, then that might be helpful.
Oh, yeah.
How good is she?
Yes.
Really enjoyed the menopause conversations this year on Broad Radio.
Yeah.
That's where I'm
I've
getting my
sweated
info.
my way through them.
I've been having night sweats, and now I understand roughly what's going on.
Well, can I tell you, I am on the other side, and when I was experiencing those night sweats, I assumed I had some kind of terrible cancer because I assume everything is cancer, right? So I just
Same.
Yeah.
Do you,
I
Shell?
did too with the breast soreness. I was like straight off to get a breast scan. That's it. I've got cancer.
But actually, Shelley, what you said before I think is really pertinent. I'm sorry to make it serious for a moment, but when you said you didn't know what was happening to your body, like I've got a 14-year-old, and I think the information that she has about periods, menstruation, puberty, all the changes that are happening in the hormonal tsunami that is a 14-year-old, I had none of that information. Completely disconnected from my own body, and I'm determined not to do that to myself. That was done to me, but to do that to myself through menopause. Yep. Like, we need to know what's happening.
We sure do. And those conversations that we had were really, really important because we keep going and going and going with ourselves, and we don't seem to look at ourselves, and that's that 21 hours that we were talking about before, that it would be nice to have back into our lives. But when we stop and have these conversations and you listen to other people, you go, hang on a minute, That's actually happening to me. I'm going to
me.
slow down a bit and I'm going to listen to what's happening to my body. And it's so vital. And then I'm going to research more. I'm going to go and talk to the right doctors that don't see me for 2 minutes and don't want to touch me because, oh, my goodness, she's talking about women's things, but actually want to sit with me, you know, for 45 minutes where, you know, we talked about the Jean Hales and we talked to them as well. So where you can sit down for 45 minutes with a menopause specialist and actually have a real conversation, not one of, oh, quick, get out of my doctor's surgery as quick as possible so we don't have to talk about those sorts of things.
Oh, Shell, I just love your perspective every time. So go well to Queensland. You will be joining us remotely, even if you do choose to move up there to the greener, sunnier pastures. Thanks for being a part of Broad Radio this year. It's just been awesome.
Loved it.
Just tiny bit of advice, Shell. Just talk to some Queenslanders before you decide to move there. That's all I'm saying. Thanks.
I have. But I will.
And I just need to mention we have had a couple of comments there with regard to the 21 hours and Pip is saying we have to be brave enough to hold the line on expectations. Ooh, that's so exhausting, holding a line.
I don't know what that means.
I held the line.
Well, what's
I've
that?
held it.
You've held it?
I've held the line.
Yeah, I've tried holding the line too. Like that's why I sort of feel like we have to shift the conversation because it's like the line's there, they ignore it.
My husband's asleep on the line.
That's right. That's right.
Well, we're going to have more Broad Radio after this when Felicity Ward joins us from the UK. Yay.
In your arena, there's only one race to win. Your own. You never stop, never quit, never look back. You push and test your limits until there are none left. Fuel your performance with INC Dynamic Way to keep you going.
Broad Radio. Talking inspo we love, info we need, and sharing more of us. Watch and listen live every Tuesday 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time at broadradio.com.au or find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube and LinkedIn at Broad Radio Oz. Talk to us live. Call on 1300 8 Broad. Catch up on demand anytime, anywhere, every time, everywhere. On the train, we'll be here. 2 a.m. existential crisis? We've got you covered. Broad Radio. Here for more.
Well, Nelly, we have been lucky enough to have some amazing comedians on Broad Radio this year, you included.
Oh, get out of town.
You know, I said it. But today we're welcoming one of Australia's best, but she doesn't live in Australia. She's in the UK.
She's still ours, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is Felicity Ward and she joins us all the way from the UK. Hi, Felicity.
Felicity Ward.
Hi, how you going?
Oh, my God. Have you finished your second dinner, which is what you were eating about 2 minutes ago?
No, mate, I've still got a prawn to go.
I've
still got
one
half a
prawn
bowl,
to
actually.
go. My favourite part of that
Yeah, there might be another one in there.
That's classic mum territory, isn't it? It's like your first dinner at 5:30. Oh, 8 o'clock, I'm starting to get hungry again. I'll just have another dinner.
If you're not in bed by 9, you absolutely have to have another dinner.
Yes, absolutely.
How are you supposed to get through 8 hours of sleep?
Yeah.
8. I mean, obviously that's laughable, but
Yeah.
some more sleep without a second dinner.
I was going to say, surely you're not having 8 hours. How old
Yeah.
is your bub right now?
He's 2. He's just turned 2. I actually am getting a decent amount of sleep. If I go to sleep at 10 o'clock, I will get 8 hours sleep, sometimes 8.5.
Don't you love that that's
I don't
a
wanna brag.
conversation?
Oh, no.
How much
but
sleep are you getting?
seriously, that's still a conversation. My
Yeah.
kids are 9 and 14. That's still
Yeah.
a conversation.
yeah.
And then I hear some people kind of go, oh, they slept through from 7 weeks. I'm like, don't tell anyone
That's
that.
rude.
It's not
I
a
don't
helpful
need to
thing.
hear that.
It's not a helpful
That's a
thing.
violent thing to say to someone.
Oh, I haven't slept for 14 years. Please.
My daughter's
Yeah.
12 and she still climbs into
Yeah,
bed with us
yeah.
during the night. And there's not a bigger bed. Like I got the king,
Yes.
the king of the kingists.
Yeah.
And it's
No.
still
You've done
she's
it.
between us. Yeah. So Felicity, though, you've got 2 new shows coming up.
Bless you.
It was a cough. Did it sound like a sneeze?
I didn't know what it was. I just wanted to acknowledge it.
So you tell us
My
about your...
husband does this thing whenever I cough. He says, bless you after I cough, and I hate it. I'm like, I didn't sneeze. He's
Sorry.
like, I know, I was just saying bless you anyway. I'm like, that's I don't know what that is, but it's upsetting me.
Yeah, okay, I won't do that again. Noted.
Can you tell us about, all manners aside, tell us about you've got 2 shows that you're working on. Is this correct? Going by the
I'm
social
actually
media.
doing 3.
Oh, wow.
Oh, are you okay? So I'm just so busy. No, I've got 2 different things that are happening at the moment. I put on some fundraisers that are happening in January. I'm just hosting those shows. I'm a patron of a charity in London that helps people experiencing homelessness they provide temporary accommodation, and then they now help them find permanent accommodation as well. So I do fundraisers for them every year, and I get a bunch of my friends who are more famous than me to come and do those gigs with me. And then I'm also doing 3 new hour-long shows, which I'm bringing out to Australia on motherhood. I'm doing an hour on pregnancy, an hour on birth, and an hour on parenthood.
Hang on. Let's back up. The homelessness thing, well done, etc., etc. Great. But
etc.
Three
heal the world.
3 new 1-hour shows in 1 year. You have officially lost your marbles.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had a kid. It's done. The marbles went, mate.
Right,
they absolutely went.
Right.
But I think that I'm still so close to it that, and it's such like, I know that everyone goes, it's changed my life, blah, blah, blah. But there's so much stuff that no one tells you about. And it's fundamental. It changes you fundamentally. It's not like, I've gone on a lemongrass diet. Yeah. It's like my body doesn't look the same. It's always on me. I always can't believe it. I always want to, I run up to new mums in the street. Like if I see a baby who's in a bassinet, not in the sitting up seat, I'm like, okay, they're less than 4 months. And I go up to them every time. I'm like, oh, how old? And they're like, 6 weeks or whatever. And I go, how's it going? And they go, and I go, it's really hard, isn't it? It's so hard. And they're like, it's so hard. And people in London don't talk to anyone. But when you're a mum and you go up to another mum, they can see that you've experienced the desperation that they're living through. Yeah.
But also
so they're like, okay, I'll tell this stranger in the street.
You being an Australian in London, you can get away with that too because they think we're all insane. So it's just like this is one of those crazy Australian ladies who's going to have no boundaries.
Yeah, they find it charming, the fact that we have no boundaries.
I do too. I find it very charming.
Yeah, we've got no choice. When someone has boundaries, you've got to accept, no boundaries you've got to accept. Yeah. So the 3 different stages of this child, right, that is it kind of a cathartic thing to get this written and out? Because when you say it's on you, it's in you, you're thinking about it all the time. Do you think it will help to have the shows out?
Look, I go to therapy for that. I don't ever try to work my stuff out on stage. I think it's dangerous for me and for the audience. I don't want to get halfway through a show and have like a traumatic revelation because I haven't dealt with my stuff beforehand in therapy. I am also on antidepressants since getting postnatal depression. And they work wonders, absolute wonders, mate. If you haven't had postnatal depression, it's like regular depression, but just with more responsibility.
Just with someone else's life in your hands.
Yeah.
I reckon, I know when I was pregnant with my first daughter, so it's 15 years ago, and I booked in, of course, stupidly, a show at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival because I didn't know. I'm like, I knew she'd be 4 months old. I'm like, I should be fine by then. I'll be sleeping through the night.
Should be fine.
But I must say, Felicity, it did actually help. It was cathartic because I'd had 4 months of being on my own with this baby, and all of a sudden there were people witnessing what I was going through. So it wasn't therapy, but it was like being seen.
Yeah, and it's like a massive transition going from a pregnant person and then going on maternity leave. And when you're a comedian, that means unemployed. Yeah. And then you have a baby. And so in that maternity period, it's kind of nice that you're not doing work. It's like a little holiday for a couple of weeks. And then you have a baby. And for me, it was so much more stressful than I thought it was going to be. It was so much more intense. Everything around it. It brings up any trauma you have, any trauma with your family, any of their trauma. It all comes up. Yeah. And I didn't know that was going to happen. And then I remember doing my first gig and it was like I got away.
Oh,
because
look,
the other thing that I
100%.
found really stressful is that if you're not coping well, you still have a baby that's absolutely reliant on your body and you to survive. And it's like, no, but I can't look after me, let alone you. Was this supposed to be a funny interview? I feel like I've really
it's
It's meant to
All
be
the
true,
air out.
and that's absolutely true
Yeah.
for so many people.
Yeah. And I think the power of what you're doing with these shows is, and I've been in an audience of your shows, Felicity, the audience goes, oh, me too.
Oh, totally.
Oh my God, I'm
Yeah.
I'm normal now.
Yeah.
And you know, and being
Yeah.
given permission to laugh at our own psychoses
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
really awesome.
Yeah. Well, especially
Well,
in
there's
the
just all
age
these
of-
things that Sorry, Neil.
Sorry, I was just going to say, especially in the age of, you know, Instagram and influencers, and everyone's got a fucking opinion on parenting and what you should be doing when you're pregnant and all the rest of it. I think to have realness is a relief for anyone who feels like they don't want to pretend. Pretending hurts us.
Yeah. I think something something I've written a little bit about that I want to talk more about is just infertility and the all-enveloping jealousy that I had for years because we couldn't fall pregnant. And you've just got to like pretend to be happy for everyone around you, and you're devastated. You're devastated every month you're not pregnant, and it's like just when you're just when you might, you're maybe 3 weeks into the month, so you're as far away from your period as you can be. And then someone will go, it's a boy, or like they'll post a bump shot or what have you. And it just crushes you all over again. Well, that was my experience anyway. I know that there's lots of people that have that too. I know that I got asked a lot, like, when are you guys going to have kids?
No, we've lost her. Oh, that's so devastating.
She'll
It
come back.
happens with
Will
the
she come back?
internet. I don't know. Do you know, I was just thinking though around that, Nelly, because I've got one child, and I just wrote a column about the fact that I still have that deep desire for a second.
Do you?
And you have, oh my God,
Do you?
the heartache around never having the second.
Oh.
But, so you sit in this gratitude knowing that there are women who still have the no children. And
Yes.
how devastating
Yeah.
that is. So you can have that gratitude, but you have the grief at the same time.
And the grief at the same
And
time.
I'm just like,
yeah.
there's no just getting away from
No.
grief as a woman and a mother.
There's not, and I think another perhaps even more taboo thought, and I stress this is not me, but I certainly know women that this applies to who have grief because having children wasn't what they expected.
Yeah.
And they're actually, the jealousy is of single friends who don't have children, or partnered friends who don't have children. So there's a lot. I think the whole point is that we don't talk about these feelings enough. It's not kind of socially acceptable still to kind of go, I'm feeling sad about this, or I'm jealous.
Yeah.
Like, I love that Felicity just said, I'm going to own that, I'm jealous.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Oh my gosh, it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't think we're getting her back though. So
Aw.
do make sure that you check out
Oh,
those
no, I can
3
see her
shows.
now.
Oh
There,
my
I
gosh,
can.
she's there.
I can see a little hand waving.
So this is the most embarrassing interview I've ever done.
It's
For the
so
people,
fun.
For people listening, I was 20 minutes late to this interview because I got the timings wrong. And then I just saw that my battery was on 15%. I'm like, okay, I'll finish this sentence and then I'll just lean down and get the power cord. I didn't even get the, hey, you're on low battery. It just went,
And out.
It's okay. Well, do you know what? Let's be quick while we can before we lose you again.
there will be no other problems. I promise. I'm here. I promise. I'm so sorry.
I do want to just mention your amazing performance in Wakefield, because I just loved
thanks,
it.
man.
Set in a mental health institution, and just like it was just like, oh my God. Did you love it?
I haven't seen Wakefield
Oh,
yet.
dolls. It was just soulful. That's what it was, and the whole series was incredible. How did it come about that you were shooting here in Australia and you live in the UK?
Okay, so this will also be part of the show. I got an email. Let me say this. I have never auditioned for an Australian drama in my life. I have never had a part. I have never auditioned. Apart from when I was 17 and I got a part in Heartbreak High, which I turned down because I wanted to finish school. What a nerd. I just
What
had
a knob.
opportunities. I thought there'd be so many more opportunities.
Yeah.
Guess what? There was none.
Yeah.
So
leave school, take the job.
Yeah. I mean, you can go back and do your studies.
Yeah.
Get the money. It was ABC money, so it was never going to be.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I get an email from my agent when my son is 12 days old saying, I know this is really bad timing. I'm like, hey? She's like, there's a new series that's filming next year. They'd like you to do a self-tape. Is this something that you'd even be interested in? They've attached the script to see if you would. And I was like, you know, covered in milk in a sleep-deprived nightmare. And I'm like, what? I can't read emails. So anyway, a couple of days later, I think I thought, I got another nudge from her saying, it's fine if it's a no. So I read the script and it was the greatest script I've ever read. Not that I've read heaps of scripts, but it's definitely the greatest script I've ever been sent. And it was like a 1-hour feature film, but it was a TV show. I'm like, well, this is incredible. So we got my mum-in-law to come over, look after our baby in the back room. My husband and I filmed a self-tape in my lounge room. You know, like we're both off our heads. And I remember at the time, like putting makeup on. It would have been the first time in 3 weeks that I put makeup on. And I was like, I look beautiful. And then I look back at the self-tape. My tits are down near my knees. I've got bags under my chin. It was just crazy. Anyway, I filmed the self-tape. And then like a week later, my agent's like, the casting agent love it, but we've just got to find out with the network. And it went back and forth and back and forth. And then the showrunners wanted to speak to me. I'm like, I can't speak to you. I can't organise a chat at 11 p.m. with a I can't. And then I found out Jocelyn Morehouse was the director and she wanted to talk to me. I'm like, okay. So we spoke to Jocelyn Morehouse. And then they wanted another self-tape. I'm like, give me the job or don't give me the job. But I'm trying to be a parent and I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So then I found out on the 23rd or the 24th of December that I had the job. And Frankie was 5 weeks old.
Merry
6 weeks old.
Christmas. Amazing.
And then they said, we're starting in 3 weeks.
Oh, no.
And so I had postnatal depression. Frankie had colic. He had reflux. My husband had to quit his job. We had to get someone to rent this place while we were away. We had to get passports. Frankie didn't have a passport. He was like a minute old.
I'm going to have a
my
panic
husband
attack,
had to get
seriously.
a visa. Mate, it didn't stop. It didn't stop. So we landed and Frankie was 9 weeks old. And I started 2 days later. So we landed. I was supposed to start the next day, I think. And then I just said to my agent, I can't be in there. So I started on the Tuesday. Had to express, do all of that stuff. And then I just had, I couldn't believe I had postnatal depression and was playing a psychiatric nurse in a psychiatric hospital. And one of the patients, in inverted commas, had postnatal depression. Ironically, it was far less traumatic being at work filming because I could pretend that I wasn't a mum. I could just like learn the lines and be this other person because I found it so difficult being a mum, and I always wanted to be a mum. So that was even more shameful and more upsetting. And I ended up having to go to this place. It's called Tracillion House and it's in New South Wales. They have one in Victoria called Queen Elizabeth Centre, I think. And they basically do the same thing where they take in babies who are having trouble sleeping or parents who are having postnatal depression or they're having trouble feeding. And they provide accommodation and meals and training and like access to all, and it's free in both states. It's free. And so I went there during filming for 4 nights with my baby. And it was just insane. The whole thing was insane.
I just can't even believe that backstory to what an extraordinary performance, Felicity. I just loved it. So, and thank you for making time for us this morning. We are running out of time, but I want to mention that you have a podcast, which is hilarious. The Ashes Urncast.
Oh, yeah.
The Ashes Urncast, yes. Yeah. We've just started that last week. We did do it one for a different network, but they couldn't make it anymore. It was called The Unbelievable Ashes. So Andy and I have now transferred under his Bugle umbrella.
And can I say,
called The Ashes
Felicity,
Urncast.
I don't even like cricket, and it's great.
There you go.
Like, for real.
Put that
A
on.
lot of people say that.
Yeah.
What a review.
Yeah.
I don't even like cricket and it's great.
Yeah.
Hey, can't wait to see you when you're here in Australia to see these 3 amazing shows. Thank you so much,
See you,
Felicity
gorgeous.
Ward. It's been amazing to chat with you.
Thanks for having me, guys. Bye.
Okay, we'll have more Broad Radio after this.
I'm in a new strategy.
Ladies, that brings 2021 to a close, our last show in what has been our first ever year. What the hell? How's it happened?
You are amazing, Joe. This startup, I
absolutely.
mean, when you told me, I was on board straight away. I love everything about Broad Radio and everything that you're doing. It's important. It's really important. And it's fun.
Yeah, and also congrats, because the amount of emotional, mental, intellectual energy that goes into starting any endeavour, let alone something this complicated, is huge.
Yeah.
So bravo to you. I think for me, 2021, good riddance to bad rubbish, other than Broad Radio.
No, there are lots of amazing things that have come out of lockdown. Heaps of amazing creative endeavours. And no, come on, not just me. It's not just my extraordinary achievement.
Can I just wallow for a minute? Give me a second.
Oh, you've told me off for that. Sorry. I'm doing it again, Nelly. I really have had a chat with myself about that.
Have
actually,
you?
since our last conversation when you told me
just
that.
letting me to sit in the shit.
Yes.
Sometimes you just got to sit there and just go, no, and move on later.
Okay.
When you're ready.
When you're ready.
I'm letting you sit in your shit.
Thank you. Thanks, mate.
Meanwhile, let's just, I know we're running late, but can we just look back on some of our favourite moments?
Yes.
And
I have to say Chloe Mcardle, the amazing Chloe Mcardle, who in October this year broke the world record for the most number of crossings of the English Channel, not on a ferry, but swimming, actually in the water.
With her own human body.
I mean, amazing. Chloe is a domestic violence survivor. She endured some, years of abuse, psychological abuse and some physical abuse, coercive control. And she found solace in swimming, and swimming really helped her recover from her post-traumatic stress disorder. And so she went and did it.
Amazing.
Her 44th crossing of the English Channel. She is the greatest marathon swimmer. And we enjoyed chatting to her because, you can't really imagine what it's like to be in that dark water for 34 kilometres with, creatures and fumes from the ferries.
Is it interesting though, isn't it, how a challenge like that is healing? I interviewed Rosie Batty once, and she walked the English Channel after the death of her son. And
she walked the English Channel.
Not walked the English Channel. Walked the. Sorry, no, I'm having a moment. Is it the moors? The moors.
Oh, the moors.
Yeah, she
right.
walked the English moors. But that same kind of like healing journey, physical exertion, blisters, the whole sort of thing, but come out the other side, I'm sure not completely healed, but on a journey of healing.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
But Chloe too, she set herself the challenge of being the best at something when she was at school. Like,
That's right.
Who could be bothered?
Yeah. Yeah.
And she tried a few other things, triathlon and other sort of physical activity, but settled on ultra marathon swimming, as you do.
So, Ange, you did ask her this very important question.
I want to know what's happening in your head as you're swimming, hour after hour. What are you thinking about? What sort of techniques are you using to distract yourself from the fact that you're in the English Channel?
Sometimes I just think about cupcakes. And then I just try and entertain myself with having a good effective technique, or having a look at the cargo ships, the tankers, the ferries. At night time, the ferries are lit up like Christmas trees, like floating. They float by, and I absolutely love that. I love the sunrise. So I try and be really present, because there are things to enjoy, even though it is kind of torturous. There are enjoyable moments, and if I can just savor that enjoyable moment, and then it makes all that the hard stuff not as bad.
Amazing. She is so inspirational.
All power to Chloe.
Yes. And can I say it's been a really big part of our experience this year on Broad Radio to share the stories of victim survivors of family violence. That's been really critical to us. In fact, our very first interview was with Shayna Blaze talking about the charity that she set up to support victim survivors of family violence. So it's been a big part of our conversation and will continue to. What about you? Would you introduce something for us that was been very enjoyable on Broad Radio?
Yes, should I go with Ms. Emma Donovan, or are we going to go
Denise
with that later?
Scott.
We're
No,
going to
yeah.
go with Denise first.
Yes.
So we've had these beautiful, amazing comedians on this year, and God knows we've needed laughter, haven't we? We've needed joy.
Yes.
And I think for me, Denise Scott, she's such an icon of Australian comedy. And especially, I think, for female comedians, because, when you and I both started, Jo, there weren't that many.
No.
There's a lot more now, but she was one of the shining lights, I think. And she's just her face is funny. In the most beautiful way, her voice, her intonation, let alone her beautifully crafted jokes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're going to see a clip of the wonderful Denise Scott.
And a lot of her face, in fact.
I try the lady shaver thing. If you've seen it, I have got one. I've got my beauty bag. I can show you. It's always ready to go. Have I got my face? Yes, I have. So it's a
demo.
See, can you see that?
Yes.
It's quite small. And then you just, hear that?
Yes.
Anyway, so that's it. And I know, but it's really subtle. So I got one. Because it's subtle because ladies don't want to be seen to be shaving.
Sure.
And so I tried it one night in front of John. I've been with John 40 years, Jo.
Yes.
I sat at the dinner table with him. He didn't even know I was shaving. I sort of gave it a little test. Anyway, I have to say it worked beautifully.
Mm.
I couldn't believe it. It was like a miracle. I thought I should have been onto this years ago. Face was smooth and hairless. And then the next morning, I woke up stubble.
Yes. Yeah.
Massive.
Yeah.
Massive stubble. I looked like, one of the river boys from Home and Away. It didn't look like that. It's more the point. I had this stubble of a river boy and the body of a 65-year-old woman. So then, so I had to just dig in and grow a goatee.
Was it Scotty? I think it was either Scotty or Judith Lucy who used to do a fabulous joke about plucking by braille. When your eyes go, which is about 40 and you can't see them anymore, so you've just got to feel around.
That's what I do in traffic. That's my favourite thing to do in
That's
traffic.
my TV time. I've just got tweezers all over the house.
Anyway, we must say thank you to our listeners who have joined us this year as well. It's been just amazing to have our audience just growing bit by bit every week. It's been a joy to hear their stories as well. And at one point we did ask, where have you taken your baby bump? And where did you take your baby bump?
I took my baby bump to the 2012 AFL Grand Final.
Oh my gosh, look at your baby bump. You've written Go Swans on it there.
Yes.
That is the best. How did you go in the crowd? Did you find that? Because I remember being pregnant at the footy and just, queuing for the toilets and all that. It was very hard to even fit in the seats.
It was good. People just loved it and were very helpful. My family were very stressed for me, wondering if I was going to have birth at the game.
I took my baby bump to a Def Leppard concert.
I took my baby bump all over the world to different mine sites with my work.
You were working on mines. Look, there you are.
Was.
There's no baby bump there at the moment in that photo, but there you are working as an engineer on mines. And did you have maternity wear back then?
No, we did not have maternity wear back there. We didn't have many women back then. We still probably don't, but no, I just used oversized men's wear because all of the uniform was made for men. So you just had to pick the size that you could get over your baby bump. But they do make stout hard jacket type wear, which for men with beer bellies, and so that kind of works all right.
I love
The beer bellies, the maternity wear. Oh, that's funny.
It is funny. So
I took mine to the Prince concert.
Yes.
So I say to Francis, you were there.
Yeah.
Prince was on stage.
I accidentally went to work with mine, not knowing, in your first pregnancy, booked in a gig in Darwin at like 8 months pregnant. So it's like sweating, enormous, like I swelled up like the Michelin man. Anyway, we did it.
We do it. We push through. Hey, so thank you to our listeners. It's been just wonderful to have you. I'm going to invite also over here, this is our off-air team who have seen us through. Now, firstly, we have Olivia here, Olivia Daisy Smith, who I can never not say her middle name because that's an email address or something. Now I've given it away. You're going to get a whole lot of spam. Sorry. Olivia's been with us. She came via the RMIT journalism course, and Liv, it's just been extraordinary to have you working for us.
Yay, Liv.
Yeah, you are the future of journalism in this country.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for dealing with the mother hens that have pecked around you.
Oh, I love it.
Do you?
Yeah, I love
She's
it.
such a baby.
I love it.
She's a big girl now.
Learning a lot.
Yeah, that's right. And we got Cecilia Ramsdale here, who is our content producer.
Yay, Cess.
Yeah, thank you so much, Cess, for an amazing year and for joining us right from the beginning.
Yes. Well, it's really...
Get to the speaky bit.
I'm sorry, yes. I should know how microphones work.
Yeah.
This is really awkward.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, here you go. I'll go short. What a year. I still think it's amazing that it's less than 12 months ago that you rang me and you were like, I've got this idea. Do you want to come and help me work it out? And I went, all right, let's work it out. And here we are.
You should have hung up.
You did it.
And finally, Ro, who's over there, Ro Murray, who runs the show on the other side of the camera there, and she can't come over here.
This is my beautiful view. All the behind the scenes. I'm the cable dweller, just, back pushing buttons.
Yeah, well, and thank you also, Ro, for just the extraordinary efforts and the unflappable nature with which you just go about the business over there.
We try.
No,
Very
honestly.
calm, very calm.
No, thank you for having me. It's been an absolute raging adventure this year.
That's a good way of putting chaos. It's an adventure. Hey, thank you to everybody. I have to say thank you also to Angela Rao, Bianca Chatfield, Kirsty Wiebeek, Zoe Daniel, Kerry Stanley, and of course Shelley Ware, who joined us today as well. From they're all our beautiful co-hosts, and I had to write it down because, again, I was late night at graduation. Mama's no good at that anymore. Ladies, thank you so much. And we have a big year next year as we build our app, and we're going to be making some changes as to how we deliver broad radio to you, but it's going to be all exciting and amazing. It's time for a Christmas cheer.
Yes, greetings.
Yes, season's greetings.
Happy
and all of
Hanukkah,
that.
Merry Christmas, all the things.
All of the things.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you in 2022. Yay! It's a big, it's a big way from all of us. Yes.